Hello, students. Today we are going to start chapter 2 from the book Vistas. Chapter 1 we have already completed. Let's move on to chapter 2, The Tiger King, which is written by Kalki. This is a very interesting and I would say the most interesting story of this book Vistas. The story revolves around a king whose death at the hands of a tiger had been foretold by astrologers when he was born. He tries to reverse the fate spelled out for him, and the author uses thinly veiled satire to walk the reader through the king's attempts, which later prove futile, useless, in a manner that makes the readers laugh. So, this chapter is a story which is actually a satire on the pride and stubbornness of those people who are in power. As you have already listened to the theme or the introduction, this chapter talks about those people who are in power, that means the kings in the times of Britishers. When Britishers were there in India, the Indian kings, they feared the British as they lived under the rule of British. And the story tells about the days of autocratic and eccentric kings, how they used to exploit their power and how they used to superimpose their uh, supremacy over the subjects or the common people. So, this is how this story has been constituted. Let's see the chapter. What is the general attitude of human beings towards wild animals? General attitude, it should be very nice. The animals should not be hurt. But here in this story, you would see that the king, because he was in power, because he was the most powerful being of that kingdom, he used to be very cruel towards the animals, and how he had tortured the animals in his kingdom. This is what you are going to see in the story. The Maharaja of Pratibandhapuram is the hero of this story. He may be identified as His Highness Jamedar General Kiledar Major Satyagraha Samhari Maharaja Dhiraj Bhuvan Samrat Sar Jilani Jung Jung Bahadur MAD ACTC or CRCK. But this name is often shortened to the Tiger King. So these are all the adjectives or these are all the titles which are used for this Maharaja of the state Pratibandhapuram. I've come forward to tell you why he came to be known as Tiger King. Author is very, you can say, interested or excited to know, to tell you about the name, that why this king is named Tiger King. I have no intention of pretending to advance, only to end in a strategic withdrawal. Even the threat of a Stuka bomber will not throw me off track. The Stuka, if it likes, can beat a hasty retreat from my story. So the writer says that I won't stop telling you the story even if a Stuka bomber attacks me. Right at the start, it is imperative to disclose a matter of vital importance about the Tiger King. Everyone who reads of him will experience the natural desire to meet a man of his indomitable courage face to face. Indomitable, which cannot be defeated. So, here everyone who's reading the story would certainly be interested to meet this man, this king, face to face, but there is no chance of its fulfillment. As Bharata said to Rama about Dashratha, the Tiger King has reached that final abode of all living creatures. In other words, the Tiger King is dead. So here the author declares that now you cannot meet him face to face because he is dead. He has left for heavenly abode. The manner of his death is a matter of extraordinary interest. It can be revealed only at the end of the tale. The most fantastic aspect of his demise was that as soon as he was born, astrologers had foretold that one day the Tiger King would actually have to die. So when this Tiger King was born, this king of Pratibandhapuram, he was born, the astrologers had already made a prediction regarding him that he would have to die. But what's new in that? Everybody dies. The child will grow up to become the warrior of warriors, hero of heroes, champion of champions, but they bit their lips, It shows hesitation and swallowed hard. When compelled to continue, the astrologers came out with it. So the astrologers just said that he would die, and everybody dies, so there's nothing new in that. And when they were compelled to come out with it, then the astrologer said that this is a secret which should not be revealed at all, and yet we are forced to speak out. The child born under this star will one day have to meet its death. Still the astrologers were hesitant. Astrologer wasn't able to speak it out because he was feeling hesitant to speak such a harsh or tragic thing. At that very moment, a great miracle took place. An astonishing phrase emerged from the lips of the 10-day-old Jilani Jung Jung Bahadur. Oh, wise prophets! So, what happened just then? 10-day-old child, that is Jilani Jung Jung Bahadur, he spoke a phrase which came out from his mouth, from his lips, that is, O wise prophets! Everyone stood transfixed in stupefaction. So everyone transfixed stared at the child, and they were amazed, they were shocked to see that. They looked wildly at each other and blinked. O wise prophets, it was I who spoke. He spoke again. This time there were no grounds for doubt. It was the infant born just 10 days ago who had enunciated the words so clearly. Enunciated means pronounced. So now there was no doubt about it, and everybody was clear with the idea that this is the child who's 10-day old who has spoken these words. The chief astrologer took off his spectacles and gazed intently at the baby. All those who are born will one day have to die. We don't need your predictions to know that. There would be some sense in it if you could tell us the manner of that death. The royal infant uttered these words in his little squeaky voice. Now the child spoke some sensible thing. He said everybody dies, so there is no need for protection. But the most important thing is you must tell the source or the reason or the manner of death, then only your words would be wise enough. The chief astrologer placed his finger on his nose in wonder. A baby barely 10 days old opens its lips in speech. Not only that, it also raises intelligent questions. Incredible. Rather like the bulletins issued by the War Office than facts. The chief astrologer took his finger off his nose and fixed his eyes upon the little prince. The prince was born in the hour of the bull. Then the astrologer started speaking the truth or the fact which he was hiding till now. He said that the prince was born in the hour of the bull. The bull and the tiger are enemies. Therefore, death comes from the tiger, he explained. So now he explained the manner of the little king's or little prince's death. You may think that Crown Prince Jung Jung Bahadur was thrown into a quake when he heard the word tiger. So you might be thinking that he was shocked or he was bewildered, confused, or might be afraid. That was exactly what did not happen. It did not happen at all. As soon as he heard it pronounced, the crown prince gave a deep growl. Terrifying words emerged from his lips. Let tigers beware. This account is only a rumor rife in Pratibandhapuram, but with hindsight we may conclude it was based on some truth. So, such a story or rumor is spread all around in Pratibandhapuram. Let's see how much truth was involved in it. Crown Prince Jungjung Bahadur grew taller and stronger day by day. No other miracle marked his childhood days apart from the event already described. The boy drank the milk of an English cow, was brought up by an English nanny, tutored in English by an Englishman, saw nothing but English films, exactly as the crown princes of all the other Indian states did. When he came of age at 20, the state which had been with the court of wards until then came into his hands. So, if you are asked a question that how was the Tiger King brought up, bringing up is making him rearing or growing up. So, this is the answer. This paragraph is the answer to the question. But everyone in the kingdom remembered the astrologer's prediction. Many continued to discuss the matter. Slowly it came to the Maharaja's ears. There were innumerable forests in the Pratibandhapuram state. They had tigers in them. The Maharaja knew the old saying, "You may kill even a cow in self defense." There could certainly be no objection to killing tigers in self defense. The Maharaja started out on a tiger hunt. So, when this little prince became a king, he heard the rumor from the people of Pratibandhapuram about his death, and now he was clear with it, the idea that his death would be coming from a tiger. And now he started out on a tiger hunt because he had heard that when self defense is there, you can even kill a cow. So, when a person can kill a cow in self defense, what's the problem in killing a tiger? No problem at all. The Maharaja was thrilled beyond measure when he killed his first tiger. He sent for the state astrologer and showed him the dead beast. "What do you say now?" he demanded. "Your Majesty may kill 99 tigers in exactly the same manner." "But," the astrologer drawled, "but what? Speak without fear." "But you must be very careful with the 100th tiger." So, when this tiger king killed the first tiger, he was very happy and he showed the beast to the astrologer. The astrologer said that it's okay, you can kill 99 tigers like this, no problem at all. But be aware of the 100th tiger. Be very careful of the 100th tiger. What if the 100th tiger were also killed? Then I will tear up all my books on astrology, set fire to them, and 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 I shall cut off my tuft, crop my hair short, and become an insurance agent. The astrologer finished on an incoherent note. So, when the king said that he would be able to kill 100 tiger in the same manner, then the astrologer warned him that if anything like that happens, then he would cut off his tuft, crop his hair short, and become an insurance agent. So he was so confident about his prediction which he had made about the king's death. From that day onwards, it was celebration time for all the tigers inhabiting Pratibandhapuram. The state banned tiger hunting by anyone except the Maharaja. A proclamation was issued to the effect that if anyone dared to fling so much as a stone at a tiger, all his wealth and property would be confiscated. So, a proclamation means announcement was made because Maharaja had banned killing of tiger or hunting of tiger by any person, any common person of the kingdom, because he thought that he would kill all the tigers himself. And an announcement was made in the kingdom that even if somebody would throw a stone upon the tiger, even then his property would be captured by the state. The Maharaja vowed he would attend to all other matters only after killing the 100 tigers. Initially, the king seemed well set to realize his ambition. Not that he faced no dangers. There were times when the bullet missed its mark. The tiger leapt upon him and he fought the beast with his bare hands. Each time it was the Maharaja who won. He had to deal with a lot of problems on the way. Still, he was victorious at the end. At one time, that is another time, he was in danger of losing his throne. A high ranking British officer visited Pratibandhapuram. He was very fond of hunting tigers and fonder of being photographed with the tigers he had shot. As usual, he wished to hunt tigers in Pratibandhapuram, but the Maharaja was firm in his resolve. He refused permission. So, in those days, the Indian kings were under the British rulers and they considered British rulers as their own masters. Still, the Maharaja refused a high ranking British official to hunt a tiger in his kingdom as he had already banned tiger hunting by all the people. I can organize any other hunt. You may go on a boar hunt. You may conduct a mouse hunt. We are ready for a mosquito hunt. But tiger hunt, that's impossible. So these lines show the humor brought out by the writer, that how humorous he has made this, you can say, request by the high ranking British official. The king said that you can do a boar hunt, mosquito hunt, mouse hunt, but no, not the tiger hunt. That's not possible. The British officer's secretary sent word to the Maharaja through the Diwan that the Durai is the post of that British official, himself did not have to kill the tiger. The Maharaja could do the actual killing. What was important to the Durai was a photograph of himself holding the gun and standing over the tiger's carcass. This high ranking official again sent a proposal to the king that he doesn't want to kill the tiger. It's not required. He just want a photograph to be clicked with the dead body. Carcass means dead body of the tiger, and he would be just standing nearby holding a gun. That's what he required. But the Maharaja would not agree even to this proposal. If he relented now, what would he do if other British officers turned up for tiger hunts? So he was worried that if he allows one British official, again more would come for the same proposal, and it would be difficult for him to complete his task of killing 100 tigers. Because he prevented a British officer from fulfilling his desire, the Maharaja stood in danger of losing his kingdom itself. The Maharaja and the Diwan held deliberations over this issue. So they had meetings because it was a serious issue. As a result, a telegram was dispatched forthwith to a famous British company of jewelers in Calcutta, sent samples of expensive diamond rings of different designs. So the king wanted that he would send three or four rings to the wife of that British officer. But what happened when he sent the rings? She kept all the rings. Some 50 rings arrived. The Maharaja sent the whole lot to the British officer's good lady. The king and the minister expected the Duraisani to choose one or two rings and send the rest back. Within no time at all, the Duraisani sent her reply, "Thank you very much for your gifts." And what she did? She kept all the 50 rings with herself. In 2 days, a bill for 3 lakh of rupees came from the British jewelers. The Maharaja was happy that though he had lost 3 lakh of rupees, he had managed to retain his kingdom. So this is how he was able to retain his kingdom. He had to pay rupees 3 lakh to the jeweler in Calcutta, but then he was able to retain his kingdom. So that's all for today. We'll be taking up next part of the story in part 2. Thank you.